The CP504 might be the single most understood letter the IRS sends. It's printed in bold letters with the word intent to levy, says things like seizure of property. So it scares business owners into thinking the IRS can empty their personal or even their company bank accounts tomorrow. But here's the truth that almost no one explains correctly. And understanding the truth behind this notice changes what your next move is. So the CP504 notice is a notice of intent to levy, but it's not the final one. On its own, the CP504 authorizes the IRS to do two specific things. They can take your state tax refund and also move toward filing a public tax lien. Also, if you happen to be a federal contractor, they may be able to take payments owed to you. There's a few other situations involving federal debts. But what it does not do, and this is really the critical piece and what most people get confused, is give the IRS the authority to levy your personal or business bank accounts, your wages, or your receivables. And it does not by itself give you any formal collection due process rights. That levy authority, as well as the CDP collection due process hearing rights, they arrive with the next letter in the sequence, letter 1058-1058 or LT11. And that is the true final notice of intent to levy, which I've broken down in another video. So the sequence roughly runs, you'll get CP14, which is the first bill, maybe some reminder notices, then CP504, then the letter 1058 or LT11. The CP504 is essentially your warning shot letter that says the real one is coming. So why does this timing and everything matter so much for you? Really two main reasons. One is timing and how much runway you have. Because the CP504 is not the final notice, you still have a short time frame before you receive a notice that gives you your 30-day CDP hearing rights. This is the window of time where you should focus on getting organized. Think about pulling your IRS transcripts, verify the balances are correct, gather your financials, and start figuring out your resolution strategy so that when the final notice of intent to levy comes, you're calm and ready instead of scrambling to gather everything and get everything complete within 30 days. The business owners who use the CP504 window well are the ones who look prepared when it counts. And the ones who ignore it are the ones panicking close to the filing deadline when they receive the next notice. So reason number two is one you might not be aware of, but it can affect your passport. So for 2026, the IRS can certify what's called seriously delinquent tax debt. And for 2026, it's more than $66,000. If you owe that to the IRS, they can certify your passport to the State Department. Then the State Department can refuse to renew or deny an application or possibly revoke your U.S. passport in extreme circumstances. If you owe six figures or more to the IRS, you are already well past that threshold. So the trigger for possible passport certification is a filed lien or issued levy plus your appeal rights lapsing. So that's exactly the path the CP504 is sending you down. When that happens and your passport gets certified, the IRS sends another notice called CP508C. So for a business owner who travels for work internationally, or if you have family abroad, this can be a major issue. But the good news is that getting into an installment agreement or some other sort of IRS relief stops or reverses that certification, which is why you want to act proactively. There's also a difference in your appeal rights. So with the CP504, you only have access to the Collection Appeals Program, CAP, to contest a specific collection action. But that is not the same as a collection due process hearing, otherwise called CDP, that you get with the final notice of intent to levy. CAP is faster, narrower, but the critical aspect is that you cannot protest a CAP decision in tax court. The full CDP hearing with the automatic holds on levies and the path to tax court comes with that letter 1058 or LT11. So you want to know which appeal you're using and which one makes sense for your individual situation. So what do you actually do in the period of time after you get the CP504 notice? I would pull your IRS transcripts, confirm the balances, make sure all of your required returns are filed because the IRS isn't going to grant you relief unless you are current on filing, and get your financial picture organized. Start figuring out how much you could potentially afford to pay or what resolution strategy you might work best for your situation. Don't drain your bank accounts of all money to necessarily pay the debt, but don't ignore the notice either. So the takeaway on CP504 notices is that it's serious, yes, but it's not final. So it's your warning shot in your window to prepare, and used correctly, it's a good letter to receive because you still have time to take action and control the outcome. So if you owe 6 figures to the IRS and you've just received the CP504, definitely be proactive and use this window of time to get prepared when the IRS comes knocking with more serious notices. So thanks so much for watching this video. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already and you want to get more helpful IRS videos. I will see you in the next video where we'll go over more IRS notices.